because at the beginning, to be honest, I was not so convinced that we could have this kind of success last season because of many things. But above all, I was not convinced that at the end of the season we could have from on our side more or less all the fans, all the people coming to the Mall Arena. And this was because of the good job of the players. This was because of the good matches that they played, was because of the results. And in the end, I have to say thanks to everybody here in Dunajska Streda, because at the beginning, all these things look like difficult to be reached. I think that we can split the season in two periods. One was the first one in which we had to know each other, me and the players, our technical staff and the players. We have to know which kind of championship, which kind of opponent we could play against in this championship, and step by step we know better each other. We had some good matches in the first part of the season, but we also had some matches in which we didn't play so well. But I think that after the winter pause, in the period in which we could train more in the winter pause, we succeed on doing a good job, and we prepare the team to play the kind of football that we would like to play, and we succeed on doing this above all in the playoff. We played 4 matches against Žilina, and all the 4 were a really good show. Also in the first part of the season, when we won here 4-2. Also when we draw there 0-0, I remember in that match Pacinda and Kalmar in that moment of the season were so important for us, always, but in that moment particularly. Then in the second part, during the playoff, we played the 2 best matches, also because the attitude of the opponent, because the opponent is playing football, is playing open, and we try to be really aggressive, really offensive. We start on doing a very high pressing, an ultra-offensive pressing, and we succeed for 1 hour. There we play really a very good football. In these 15 days we work under this, following this way of thinking football, is to say we are playing now also in the preparation matches this system, but it's not the system, because the system, you can think, okay, when you play with 3 defenders you are playing defensive. It's depending in which way you are playing. Every system is different each other. We can play 3-5-2, 3-4-1, but respect another system that is the same, we could be much more defensive or much more offensive. Everything is depending, according to me, from the way of thinking football. Now, I'm sure in the modern football the most important thing is to take space and time to the opponent. When you are able to do this, you are making a good pressing, you can recover the ball in their midfield, and when you recover the ball forward, you have less space to cover to arrive to the goal. So I think this is the key. I think that the guys, everybody together, step by step, were convinced that they could play this kind of football, because to play aggressive, to go to press up, to go in ultra pressing, you must accept the 1 against 1. And many times, if you are afraid of the opponent in the open space, you cannot do. And our players, our guys, step by step, they were convinced of this. And now they are really confident in themselves in this kind of football. I think that the way in which the team has to move, has to work, is done. Then for sure there is one full season, must arrive at least 4 or 5 new players to help the team, because the championship is long, the cup, the European Cup, the Slovak Cup. Look, it is something that is depending on the characteristics. When I came here, Vida and Pacinda, they always played on the side, one on the right and one on the left. The team was not prepared to change too much. Also in 3 weeks of work during the season, during the pre-season in summer, because we start 21 or 22 of June and we start on playing in the middle of July. And we had many players not training with us from the beginning because of the European Championship. If I remember well, Shatka, Oak, Shafranko, Davis was with the national team. So we had no time. And we used the players in the same way that till now were used to play. But then step by step, we knew better the player. I think that Pacinda is a quality player, for instance, that if he's free to move all over the attack, could be much more dangerous for the opponent. And the same regarding Vida. Vida on the side is not so fast to dribble the opponent in the open space and going with fastness, with speed to go. But he's an intelligent player, he sees the development of the play, and if you play in the middle, between the lines, going for the space, just like a second striker, or the man between the strikers, he could be much more helpful for himself and for the team. Oh, it's an interesting championship. I speak many times with many agents, Italians, other agents, and I think that they have to monitor this championship because there are a lot of young players. It's a young championship. We were the younger of the league, in which there are a lot of interesting players that could go to play abroad, could go to grow up, and then they could come back to play for the national team. A very, very good quality. So I mean, it's an interesting championship with a good tempo, good timing of play, and also with a lot of young, interesting players. I always say the truth, and always. And you remember well what I said after the first match that we played there. I never seen something like that. I never proved in my career like a player before and like a trainer after what happened there. And you say to me every time with Dutch, this could happen. And I think that when Dutch reached the 3rd place, playing in the way in which we played last season, scoring all the points that we have scored last season against everything and everybody, because when we play against, I remember really clear in my mind, the match when we play against Trnava, there we never had the chance to play. We never had the chance. In the first match that we lost 2-0 in the championship, we could play for 25 minutes. There was a clear penalty on Kalmar. The referee didn't whistle the penalty. From that moment on, he started on giving us only yellow card. 20 minutes, 5 yellow cards. It was unbelievable. For normal crashes. And then the same crashes were never yellow for them. If you think that Trnava in the first 15 matches they played 9 matches with 1 man more, when their style of playing was very aggressive, very wicked on the ball. They were always lamenting, complaining with the opponent, with the referee. It's quite strange. For us, that has to think, and they have only 1 year experience. But I can say that that has to think in playing one championship against all the opponent, and then there is another championship in which that has to play against Trnava and Slovan. This is what I said, what I saw in this season, and this is my feeling. Because also when we play against Slovan there in the playoff and we lost 2-0 was unbelievable. The first goal that they scored, that Tolman scored, there was a big foul on Marko Divkovic, was red card on their Bajrić, the central defender. Our players were 5-4 to complain with the referee. The referee left the the match going on, and that in the same situation they scored the goal of the 1-0. So I think that under this aspect, Dutch must be prepared to play two different level of matches in this championship, and not always is easy, never is easy. No, I don't think so. I think that, but people, when I say this, people say to me, no, it's not in this way. But I feel I'm a foreigner. I'm not Hungarian. Also, if I feel myself really close to the Hungarian people, much more than all the others in the world, because I'm Italian, but I'm really close to the feeling of the Hungarian people. If I put myself instead of the president of Slovak Federation, if I put myself instead of some Slovak man, that how can they be happy to be represented in Europe by the Hungarian minority that is singing Ria Ria Hungaria? This is what I ask many times, and it's difficult. No, this is a complicated situation that is depending on many reasons. I don't want to enter in this kind of, but this is the real situation. So I understand step by step during my season here that to win, that must be really better, really better than the others. And not always is easy when you know that if you are playing a match, when you are playing against Trnava or Slovan, many times the referee could help them more than you.